Good morning, CLC. I invite you now to just let the love and light shine through you. If you feel so inclined, go ahead and take a nice deep cleansing breath in, breathing in all the love and light around. And as you release the breath, let your inner light shine. Go ahead and take another nice deep cleansing breath in, breathing in all the cool air of the day. And as you release this breath, release all that no longer serves you. Just let everything go for now. Allow your body to just relax in this moment. And allow your mind to be here now. Universal love enfolds me. Universal wisdom inspires me. Universal spirit enlightens me. Universal power encircles me. I am one, and all is well. As we begin this inner healing process, let me invite you to relax in quiet confidence, opening yourself up to the miracle-working higher power. Now symbolize the unity of your thinking and feeling nature by touching your chest with your hand, and let my words act as your own for your own inner healing, acceptance, and receptivity. I acknowledge that there is a power, intelligence, and wisdom greater than my own. I am in the midst of it, and it is in the midst of me, sensitive and responsive to my every thought, word, action, and feeling. I now make this true for myself by saying aloud, I acknowledge. Acknowledging this higher power working through my life, I admit that I am personally responsible for solving my own problems while being guided and assisted by something greater than myself. As I am ready to surrender the conflicts of my ego to the wisdom of this infinite presence, I simply speak these words: I surrender. Knowing that forgiveness is the key to unconditional love and the feeling of heaven, I now unconditionally forgive anyone and everyone who has ever injured me in any way, real or imagined. And I now forgive myself for all of my mistaken judgments and their resulting actions. From my deepest level of understanding, I now say, I forgive. Realizing that I continually experience the effects of my own thinking, I now choose to allow this higher power to recreate me deeply, filling my mind with thoughts that are only positive, constructive, loving, and beautiful. I call upon this divine inflow by stating aloud, I choose. I now center upon that one special idea that I'm willing to accept as real for me in this coming week. Visualizing that idea as already acted upon and brought to pass. In seeing my idea become a fact of my experience, I enjoy the happiness and peace of my thought fulfilled and gratefully speak these words. I accept. I accept. Knowing that I have an everlasting place in the midst of the power that sustains all creation, as well as the support of all those around me, I allow myself to relax in the peace of fulfillment and gratitude and say, I release. I release. Now, in my mind's eye, I envision the presence of someone near and dear to me. This can be a friend, a family member, a teacher or mentor, someone who has touched my life in deep and loving ways. Someone who may not be physically present in the room or on this planet anymore. I turn to that image in my mind's eye and say, I'm grateful for the good in your life. Now I open my eyes, turn to the world around me, and joyfully speak to anyone physically present in this room or virtually on this broadcast, and share in confidence and gratitude in saying, I am grateful for the good in your lives.
I love that song. That was great. You did that. Welcome to part 3 of the basics of the science of mind. And next month, we're going to delve into applying these principles in specific ways in daily life situations and so on, which is really what we do all the time, but we're going to devote the month especially to that. And if you've not caught the first 2 of these, they're still on our Facebook page and they'll be forever on our YouTube channel, as well as years of stuff accumulated now. The thing I wanted to get across today has to do with the nature of the divine nature. You remember in the first week of January, we talked about how the divine nature is a term that you can use if you're allergic to God, if you're allergic to the God word, and if spirit seems kind of vague and ephemeral, divine nature. And we talked about how there's divine nature and human nature. Human nature is contained within divine nature, but human nature also has the capacity to deny its place within divine nature, to cast its gaze downward, you might say, rather than upward. Well, the reconciliation of this is what it's really all about. And this is why Ernest Holmes, our founder, said a trained mind is more powerful than an untrained mind in the use of these spiritual principles. You see, this is a teaching that offers the idea that everybody on the planet, everybody who's ever been on the planet, has been using this same thing that we're learning about. In other words, this is not a spiritual teaching that says you need to stop what you're doing and start doing this. You need to learn how to use the science mind. You've always been using the science mind. The thing is to recognize that. The thing is to come to understand it so that you embody it. And that's a word Holmes used a great deal, embody and embodiment. To come to embody the idea of the divine nature in you. To come to embody the idea that your cognitive and emotive processes affect the quality of the outcomes in your life. They affect your destiny. You might even say they shape your destiny. Cognitive and emotive processes both bundled under the heading of mind. So when you hear the science of mind, quote unquote, realize that it's the science of your emotional states as well. Thought by itself goes pretty much nowhere. Emotion by itself, unguided by thought, goes pretty much everywhere all at once. But put the 2 together in a way where feeling or emotion, which terms we're going to use interchangeably here. You can split the difference. But feeling or emotion is wrapped around thought. Now you've got a dynamic package of energy that has a purpose. It has a point to it. Okay? And it has a process. So we take an idea and we wrap feeling around it. And if we can't wrap feeling around it, we're not sure how to do that, or we can't seem to summon up the feeling, we go looking for the thought that already has the feeling wrapped around it from the old days. And we unwrap the feeling. How do we do that? By creating a thought form, I guess you'd say, that's more attractive to the feeling than the old thought form was. You see? So, for instance, if you're terrified at some point in your life, that's a powerful creative package right there. That's a thought of danger. It's a thought of a whole line of undesirable outcomes wrapped in intense emotional energy. Somebody comes along and says it's going to be a bright, shiny day. Perhaps they sing this to you. It's and you say, not so much for me, because I can't seem to summon up the feeling around that. It sounds good. It's an attractive idea, but I can't really get behind it. Why? Because the feeling is still wrapped around the thought or a series of thoughts of danger. So what do? You focus increasingly on the idea of and the feeling of, or your sense of, I guess, your sensation of what a bright, shiny day would look like to you. What would you put in place of this? What would you have if you could have anything at all? What kind of experience of life would you have today if you could have any experience at all? And you start thinking about that, and you inevitably, if it's really what you want, you start to get excited about it, and the feeling begins to move. I like the word leech. It begins to leech off of the old dynamic package at the floor of the subconscious mind, and it begins to move on to the new idea. And pretty soon you're like, it is a nice day. People are wonderful. Life is, and you start to have this whole brighter sort of outcome, outlook and outcome in your life because of the transformation that's occurred, the transmutation that's occurred within the subconscious mind. Then what tends to happen, and we're getting ahead of ourselves here, but then what tends to happen, since I know you're wanting to know, is that the bundle of thoughts that held the feeling before, the old stuff, all of that starts to come up kind of like this through the conscious awareness as a remnant of what it used to be, but no longer empowered with feeling. Unless, of course, we look at it as it comes up this way and we get scared about it all over again. And some of us go through this a few times, before we learn we don't have to do that. Catherine Ponder had a term, I don't know where, I brought this up a couple of weeks ago, I don't know where it goes back to, chemicalization. I think it might be even back to Mary Baker Eddy, and that's the process of thoughts on their way out. Chemicalization. In other words, the thing has been released. It's been transmuted into a different form where it no longer has weight and volume and depth and power and stuff within the consciousness. It just goes up. So that's why we're here, to focus on things, to get specific about things. Get specific about things in your spiritual work, which we talked about last week, to the point where you can get excited about them, where they're not so vague as to just kind of be theoretical, But you get excited about it, but not so specific that you close all the windows and doors to other possibilities, always leaving open the concept of this or something greater. So you get excited about this. You get excited about this because it's your idea. It's not somebody else's idea for you. And everybody has their own quality of excitement, which is why we're here, because we each bring something new and creative to the table. So we begin to imagine the outcome that we wish to manifest at especially the level of feeling, and it tends mostly to be an experience in feeling rather than a specific form. We've been taught to associate it with forms by the culture, but what the forms do is we think generate a feeling experience, see. And but if you rely on them to do that, what happens is you run through a lot of forms. If you're not really willing to have the experience until the forms bring it to you, you get to discard a lot of forms along the way, which is why people, get a new car every 10 minutes or something like this if they're financially able to, right? Or they go from job to job or relationship to relationship because they're looking for something that they're not willing to accept. So this is what Holmes says too, is that the divine nature has given all that it possibly can. We don't have to go to it on hands and knees, please give me more, please cut me a break. No, it's given us everything. We have to accept it. We have to bring ourselves to accept it. And if we're not bringing ourselves to accept it, we get to ask ourselves, why aren't we? What have we put in its place? What are we finding worth in, greater worth in than our heart's desires? And that which we, and I owe this to Reverend David, that which we find worth in is what we are worshiping. That's where that word comes from. You've heard people like worship money, Well, if you worship money, you see, you think, well, this is the key to my feeling nature, this is the key to my happiness. Money comes and goes, money changes, there's inflation, deflation, what have you. You used to could get a hamburger for a nickel or something, and now it's, and you say, yeah, but at the time a nickel was, and all of the complicated economics of it and stuff, but you worship that. Well, it's not always around, or it's not always in the form that you have. Or you get lots of it, and you spend lots of it, and now you're surrounded by stuff. You say, well, now I have all of this stuff. Now I have to be worried about my stuff. I can't go places and do things that other people can't because I have to sit here with my stuff. And I always think of Scrooge McDuck. Do you remember Scrooge McDuck? This is Donald Duck's uncle who sat on this mountain of like gold coins or something and just sort of obsessed and got strange, Well, we get strange when we attach undue meaning to different forms. Our good looks, our charisma, our power to persuade other people, power generally, so on. We bank on these things. We worship these things. They turn to sand, to run right through our fingers. What do we turn to instead? We turn to the divine nature within that says, whatever you're doing it fine. You're having an experience of yourself as the expression of the divine nature. You want to do things differently? You can do things differently. But no one's a failure at life. All use the same light. All bask, this is Holmes again, all bask in the same light. The same light is available to everybody. And everybody's under that light, just like everybody's under the same sky. But everybody's doing it differently than everybody else. Everybody's got a unique spin on life. What's yours? That's the question. That's the question. Everybody's using the science of mind on the face of the earth, but it's not our responsibility or our right to determine exactly what use they make of it. Instead, we're in charge of us. We're in charge of the self. What am I doing today? What am I thinking about? What am I feeling? You look at feelings as a record of the past as well. Where have you put your feeling nature? Where did you hide your power at some point along the way when you were hurt? And you look at the thoughts that you have now, and you're a brilliant creative being. And we stop comparing ourselves to other people. You don't have a list of degrees as long as your arm, and there's always somebody out there who knows more about something than you do, but you have a brilliant creative mind because what you're doing is recombining information. And this is mental and spiritual evolution, which I'll get into more next month. But the idea is, when I said everything has been given by Spirit, you see, infinite mind contains all knowledge. Well, then the job is done, isn't it? No, because it presents that information, that knowledge to you and to me to recombine in some new way. I bring this up all the time, but this piano over here has 88 keys, 88 notes on it. Job finished, okay? Music is over. There are 88 notes on that piano. They're already there. All the strings have been strung, and today, somebody's sitting down and they're doing something on that piano that's never been done by anybody before, and they will tomorrow and next week and 1,000 years from now. Okay? And I'm not even talking about electronic enhancements and all the rest of this. I'm talking about a plain old acoustic piano like that with the same 88 keys. Somebody's putting together a song, words, letters, you know. Somebody's recombining this in some new way. Colors of paint, colors of, magical forms of things, colors and sensations, and you combine music and light together, and you create a whole new form of things. And then there's discovery and invention. Somebody's mixing something up in the chemistry lab that's never been mixed up before, and that could go either way, but, it's right? And so everybody's recombining information. I was reading the other day about the Big Bang, not the TV show, the actual Big Bang, and how somebody, the Webb telescope, out there, is showing images of galaxies that should not exist. They should not have been born that early in time after the Big Bang, but apparently they were. And now that the astronomers are having to figure out what to make of this. And they say every day we learn something new about this. Every day it's a surprise. I want to riff on that for a moment with you about the idea that I shared with you in the first week of this series about the divine nature, where I said it's something like it's time for us to move past the idea of a divine nature that's punishing and condemning and judgmental and angry, and particularly angry at you. angry at you for who you are and what you've done. So it's time to evolve past that idea. It is. But we don't want to evolve to the idea on the other extreme either. And that is that the divine nature is so incomprehensible, so abstract, so unrelated to daily life, that it might as well be the Big Bang. Because those astronomers who research this stuff stand in their observatories, stand over their equations, and then it's time for lunch, and they make a sandwich. Then it's time to get the oil in the car changed, right? Then it's time to take the baby to the doctor. Then it's time, and they live the same obviously as everybody else. They have the same basic, and they want stuff to go smoothly. They want to be strong and healthy. They want to be loved and loving. They want something practical. So they all have a spiritual process of some kind or another, even if they say they don't believe in a certain deity. Even the atheist who rails against the existence of deity is using this same power, So we want to keep, you'll pardon the expression, we want to keep God close, but not too close, where it's breathing down our neck and, no, that's a sin. That right there. Stop that. Put that down. This kind of parental oversight, helicopter parenting thing that it can do. We don't want, but also not just this vague, there's a power out there someplace. So how do we achieve a perfect balance of it? The only way I know is go straight to the thing and say, show yourself. You know how we've talked about over the years, show me who I am, reveal to me who I am. You can also say back to this higher power, reveal yourself to me as who you are, as though it were something separate by way of conversation with it, But show yourself. Give me a sign. Give me a sign. By revealing to me who I am. And you develop a direct, unmediated relationship with the source of all life, and nothing can take the place of that. We scroll through the news. They call it doom scrolling sometimes. You've heard that expression. We go through there's the social media, and there's the mainstream media, and there's the right-wing media, and the left-wing media, and the middle-wing media, and all of these different things, and they call them listicles now. Have you heard that? Here are the 10 terrible things that are likely to happen to you if you keep doing what you're doing. And we read through all of this and we get confused. And where is the truth? I mean, right now, this is a big conversation in our culture, as you know. Who has the real truth? Or is this being spun? Is there an agenda here to move us around? You want to know how to find the real truth? I'm not going to give you a URL to go visit. I'm going to give you an I am to go visit. Hey, that's pretty cool. I just made that. Go right to the I am. Say, show me how it is. Show me how it is. And it will give you a message. It will steer you in a way that's meant expressly for you. Nobody else may understand the message that you get, but you'll understand it. So a direct, unmediated experience. And I got to be honest with you. Those of you in the room, those of you watching online, not just everybody's ready for this. Because a lot of people like to be told what to do. In fact, I've had people over the course of my career in ministry ask me to tell them what to do. Well, why don't you tell me what to do? Give me some structure here. Point me in some direction. I say, I can't betray what I believe just to make you comfortable, just to give you that kind of thing. And if I were to do that, I mean, that'd be a huge ego stroke for me. And that's really unhealthy, especially among spiritual leaders. It's like, watch this. It'll wind you up and push you out the door to go do something. Look at this power that I have over people. That's really kind of twisted, isn't it? So where you got to go, and not everybody's ready to do this. And my question to you is, are you? Are you right now today? It's a new year. You're 3 weeks into it, but who's counting, right? So are you ready to do this, to go directly to the source of your own being? You have nothing to fear from it. What I can do for you, all of us who teach this can do for you, is help you pack. Is help you pack to go meet the source of your own being. And I don't mean die. I don't mean go to, die and go to heaven. I mean right now, today, on this earth, feet on the floor, right now, we can help you pack for this. Go right to this thing. There's nothing to fear. It's not going to say, you again, what do you want? It's not going to say, you did something terrible in 3rd grade and it's still in your record. It's not, wash all of that stuff away. Okay? Think of the prodigal son parable, and we'll do some parables later in the year. It's been a few years since we've done parables. Think of the prodigal son parable. My child, you've come back. My child, you've come back. Well, I've been in a far country with riotous living. Doesn't matter. You've come back. You're here. But why? Because you never left. You never really left. You left in your mind. You strayed in your mind. We walk away from. When we're little kids, we have this experience that the whole world is just in bloom and it's gorgeous and wonderful. And I know not everybody has that experience because children are traumatized. But I'm talking about what we bring into this life by nature. Yeah, it can be beaten out of us, but it's there to start with. I absolutely believe. We come in and we look around and, oh, this is magical life, and then we start to judge it, and then rules get made and stuff, and we sell it off. We sell it off piece by piece. But now we're learning to reclaim this. So you go to the source of your own being, and you stand there and bask in its light. And if it were to ask you anything, like use words to ask you anything, it would say, so where do you want to go today? Like the commercial says. So where do you want to go today? So I want to create something in my life. I'll know it when I see it. Or like the U2 song, I still haven't found what I'm looking for. Okay? But I'll know it when I see it. I'll know it when I feel it. I'll say, great, good on you. Then keep doing what you're doing and come see me often. Come see me often. Come see me when you're scared, when you feel alone. Come see me when you're excited. And don't wait in spiritual practice to go visit the source of your own being until the wolf is at the door. For several reasons. One is you won't feel comfortable going to it if you wait until extremity. For another thing, in a weird psychological movement, you'll create a wolf at the door so as to have you go see it. You know what I mean? We create crises in order to feel something. in order to feel like we can be saved. Something can intercede and help us out, and we have a cosmic friend, you know. So that's a strange twist of human nature, human mind work that we do. But go to this thing regularly before you need anything. Like I said last week, soften up the subconscious mind before you need something from it, before you ask. Finally, this. So in the deep freeze that we've had in this city in the past week, a lot of stuff was closed Monday and Tuesday, those of you watching at a distance. Some of you I know laugh at us because it gets in the 20s here. And you're like, look at those people in Texas. They're all hunkered down and bundled up in parkas and two little beady eyes looking out from a big furry hood, you know, and all. And, well, okay, give us this. Then come see us in August. And let's see who's laughing. Anyway, all over town. Yeah, that's right. Anyhow, all over town they have these water fountains, like down in front of the old Warwick, which is now something else. I forget what. Zaza? Yeah, Zaza. And in front of a restaurant down in Galveston, they forgot to shut them off. Or they decided not to. And they froze up. And they're beautiful. Have you seen the pictures? They're in the Chronicle and various places online. And it's a waterfall. It's like if you were in the middle of a sentence and you froze. You know, here's movement in motion. That's what we're going to get into next week, because that's how creativity works. We come along and there's this frozen quote-unquote thing, and we say, oh, look how pretty it is. And you know what's behind it? A movement of mind that slowed down. Infinite mind swirling and twisting and floating and doing all of this congeals into form. And once it's in form, a warm front comes. And it begins to redistribute itself back into its fluid motion. It's been said that our lives are a snapshot of a waterfall. Okay? You're a process, a timeless and infinite process. And in this moment, you're here doing this, and we say, this is who I am and this is what I do, but it's just that quick instant. So, finally, next week, spiritual mind treatment. We're going to go through the 5 steps, but you don't have to wait, because on our Facebook page, it's pinned at the top. This document that shows you a form of prayer that we're going to discuss in detail next week. And at the close of this service, you're going to hear Reverend Lisa Ryan actually do one of these. So stick around, stay tuned for a spiritual mind treatment, so you can begin to accustom yourself to this idea of how to train the mind along certain lines to manifest particular good. I wish you a good morning. Thank you for your kind attention.
As we come up to giving time, as Monica makes her way to the back of the room, we're grateful for all that you do for us. We're grateful for all the monetary contributions you make. It helps us to continue passing on this message, which we truly love to do. And if you like our messages that we send out, then please share it with other people so that they too can benefit in their lives from what you hear. So now let's all say together, divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all the good I am and have, all the good I give and receive. I am prosperous now, and so it is.
I'm not touching anything. I made a comment this morning about our bodies aren't set up to shoot lightning bolts, because I was talking about our higher self. And then it occurred to me, what do you think static electricity is? It's a little lightning bolt. And I'm really good at those little lightning bolts. Whew, so I'm not touching anything metal right now. All right. I've got a couple of announcements for you. The first one is that if you have gone to our website recently or anytime in the near future, our website is currently under construction. So be patient with us. We are working on it. The Facebook is good. You know, YouTube is great. Email, which I'm just going to say email. The email is info@creativelife.org. You get one a week. As I like to remind people, it's a real person doing it, and he doesn't have time for more than that. So, yeah, so if you want to get on that email. Well, except for the big one. The main one, you know, that 5-step treatment that Jesse promised you that I would do. All right, so in the interests of back to the basics, let's go back over the steps. Recognition, there is one. Unification, I am a part of that one. Realization, what is it that I know? What is my heart's desire? What am I bringing into my experience or your experience? Thanksgiving, because trust me, gratitude will get you everywhere. And release. If Spirit is going to bring it into our experience, we gotta let go. We gotta let go. And we've got to be willing to let Spirit bring things into our experience in ways that are unexpected. It's like we've got to be willing to go to Spirit and say, surprise me. And I'm going to go back to that I am statement because I heard Jesse do it better. The words that you speak after the I am, you are telling the universe what you are. So be cautious about I am. Let's go for I am loved, I am wonderful, I am trustworthy, I am whole, healthy, prosperous, perfect. All right, so let's go there. Let us consciously step into the divine nature with the recognition of there is one power, one presence, one life, one love. I live that life. I am a channel for that presence. I am a channel for that love. I am a channel for that power. Amazing things can happen through me. And as I know this about myself, so too do I know this about each and every one of you. That your heart's desire, whatever it is, as big and as amazing as it is already known in the mind of God. It already exists in the unseen. And that each one of us are opening up our willingness to bring it into our present experience, to bring it into our feelings, into our thoughts, into our forms. That we are, each of us, our heart's desires. And that when we look in each other's eyes, we see that divine nature looking back at us with love. That we are the beloved children of that divine nature. And that we treat each other as the beloved children that we are. As we do this, the world shifts. If only in our perception, because that's all that matters. The world is good. You are good. It is all good. And I know this with all of the gratitude in my being. And I am grateful for a teaching that teaches me who I am and how to see each one of you as who you are, the brilliant lights that you are. I am grateful for this community. I am grateful for our ministers. I am grateful for our musicians. I am grateful for our practitioners. I am grateful for this technology that allows us to reach out into the ethers. And I am grateful for each and every one of you. I am grateful that you crossed my path. And I release my word into law with love, knowing that it is done. And so it is.
Say with me now, something wonderful is happening through me.
Something wonderful is happening through me.
I feel it in my body.
I feel it in my body.
I feel it in my mind.
I feel it in my mind.
I feel it in everything I am.
I feel it in everything I am.
I choose it.
I choose it.
I trust it.
I trust it.
I use it.
I use it.
And I love it.
And I love it.
So it is.
And so it is.